what's going on? Welcome along to episode 62 of the Strategy and Conversions podcast. I'm Jamie Michael Joseph, and as always, I'm joined by Mr. Mark Tanner.
Hello, everyone.
Now, Mark, as always, we spent a good hour before we've pressed record on the podcast. We don't do any prepping for the podcast or anything like that. We actually help each other. We go through, we go through the frustrations, we go through the good, the bad, the ugly of, just being in business, all the stuff that we do, whether it's, the online stuff, looking at ways to make additional income, whether it's actually in business, consulting and coaching and all that kind of stuff, or even just stuff in our lives, right? We look at everything going on. And one of the things that we're talking about today is that whole kind of impact of non-action. Those people who, they don't go ahead. We know them, I say, like we know of people over the years who they're still in the same place. I know they're almost ready, but they're still in the same place as they've been now for several years, and they're never going to kind of move forward as much as you kind of help them, to kind of see the light and everything like that. They're always held back. And, I think that's a great topic for us to kind of cover today is just that kind of the issues around it, why people maybe hold back, again, that whole kind of big impact of not taking action. There's that thing, isn't there? I think, we mentioned it on a podcast like many moons ago now, where we said like the scariest thing is being in the same place as you were last year.
Oh, absolutely.
And that whole thing as well of have you been in business for 5 years, or have you just repeated the same year in business each year for 5 years? It's that thing of always kind of moving but never getting ahead. And
there's an interesting, as you were talking then, there's a saying, and I can never remember the guy who said it, but it's quite well known. There's a saying, and I think it goes something along the lines of a man of words and not of deeds is like a garden full of weeds.
Oh, wow.
So nothing happens, nothing grows, well, apart from weeds, but nothing, it's just like a tundra. So, inaction is huge, isn't it? It's that whole thing that it's interesting when I started my really, really early on, when I started journaling. And there's a lot of people sort of have this when they ask me about journaling and stuff, and it's like, well, what do I say? So, well, what successes did you have today? Or what did you do today? Well, I didn't do anything. I didn't have anything. Well, why not? Well, because I just did some emails and I did this and I did that. So how did any of that take you forward? And it's like, that's all inaction. That's just hiding behind not taking any action. And like you said, so in a year's time, they're still replying to emails and they're still doing this and they're still doing that. And they're exactly the same in business and in life pretty well as to where they were a year ago. And it's sort of that, and there's a huge cost, isn't there, to inaction? I was just again, when I was thinking, take it away from business for a time. I know somebody who was engaged to be married for 7 years. And they got engaged, and it was going to be, when are we going to get married? Not sure. 7 years, and the engagement broke off. Surprise, surprise. Because if you get engaged for a purpose to get married, if you're not going to get married, then don't kid yourself and get engaged, that kind of thing, And it's that kind of take one step, but I'm scared, I can't take the next step. And it's like we were talking about. I've got to wait until it's right, whenever that it's right ever is. And that's the same in business, isn't it? I'm not quite ready yet. I'm going to wait until this contract comes in or that contract comes in. And when you're talking on investment terms, like investing in having consultant like yourself or consultant, but helping up with their business strategy, their marketing strategy, everything, helping with coaching to get them moving on, helping with anything, even building, helping so for example, I know again somebody who's had a problem with the wall on the outside wall of their house for 5 years, and now it's major. It's a tiny. It was originally where some pointing was not quite right. I thought, I got to get that done. Well, not right. Now's not the right time. 5 years later, damp has come in. There's a huge damp patch on the inside of the house of the wall, and it's really and it's huge. I mean, it's not, and it's all the stuff that goes with it. So you've got mold, and you've got and because they didn't act, that person. Okay, I know at the time sometimes you don't have the money initially, so put some money aside for it. Think, right, I've got to get that wall done. I've got to get this done. I've got to get my marketing sorted out. So I need to think about. I need to get somebody to help me with the marketing because I don't know what I'm doing. It's going to cost me. I know that's going to cost me. So I need to start putting aside a little budget every month so that I can and see how that is. Because if I'm putting aside money every month and not spending it, then I know that if I'm paying that to a marketing consultant or whatever, I'm still okay with it. But unless you take action, nothing's going to change.
There's a big part, isn't it, of taking action, and that action is we spoke about this so many times about doing something, but that thing as well, just engaging in a service or a product, that can really help you. And like you say, and the reason we were talking about this, look, cards on the table. I said to you, it's frustrating sometimes when you put all the prep work in, everything's moving along, and it gets to the point where someone's about to, sign the contract to go ahead, or they're about to, pay. It comes to that payment date, and then they're even nowhere to be seen, or the excuses start coming up, and you're just like, well, what's the real reason? And that's the part, isn't it, of trying to figure out, because that whole, I need to wait until when, I need to do this. I think most people even know themselves that, there's always going to be something that holds them back. And we were talking about this, and it's like, is it fear? Is it a case of, well, look, if I hand over some money now, will I get that back? Is it a case of just losing that money? Or is there actually the opposite part of fear, where it's like, if this actually works, I'm scared about this happening.
Yeah, that's big, isn't it? I mean, for the first thing that comes to mind for me, like you said, it's a fear. It's a fear of parting with the cash and thinking what's going to happen, or it's the fear of on the marriage thing of getting into a relationship and having responsibility. That's a big fear for people. But you're right. There's the opposite of fear is the fear of, but what if it all works? And I've got to, and suddenly my business has to expand because I can't do it all on my own, and all the other problems. So it's kind of the fear of success. And I know a lot. I remember talking about that. Well, and blogging about that years ago and having a thing on the whole fear of success thing. And it was interesting because there's quite a few people who said to me, you can't have a fear of success. Why do people fear success? And you explain when you say to them, right, okay, so suddenly your business doubles and you're on your own. Okay. And it's going to, so if something's happened and your business is doubling or tripling, you're now on your own and you've got to prepare for it. And so you've got to take on a team. You've got to take on somebody in HR. You've got to take on this. You've got to think about that. And it's, I'm not sure if I could do that. So, well, that's because you've got a fear that you won't be ready for that success. But so you've got to have people who are going to help you along that path. So if someone says your business is going to triple in 4 months' time, it's no good saying, I can't handle that, so I won't do it. You've got to then say, right, I need to learn how to manage that business that's going to triple in 4 months' time. What do I need to learn? What do I need to do? Instead of having this fear of, I can't handle that, putting your hands up and saying no. And I've done that years ago. I've done something similar, and I know what happens is the fact your business then regresses, it goes down, and it's horrible. And you just suddenly, and then you look back and think, if only I had done that. And however many if onlys are there in the world?
Do you know what, mate? Again, like going back to the people that that over the years you've tried to help them, and you've even kind of told them what to do and stuff like that, and they haven't done it. And then you see them again and they say, I should have done what you said, or like, we've even had it where a year ago, we did a little challenge and we were talking to someone then about what they should be doing. Right. And that person still hasn't done anything today. It's like a year later. Right. And 6 months later, they're like, I'm almost ready to start that now. And it's just like, you'll never be ready. Because there's something that's stopping you, and it's either that fear of failure or the fear of success. It's really weird sometimes, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? And it all comes back to this again. It all comes back to this kind of comfort bubble that I talk about, a comfort zone, as people call it. It's when people are in that comfort zone, and the comfort zone's so dangerous, isn't it? It's what when you're in that bubble of comfort, it's easy because you think you go to work or you run a business, whatever you do. Every day you're doing the same thing. Nice and easy, nice and familiar, and you're earning a bit of cash. You're getting income in, and you're paying a bit of tax maybe, and you're getting this going, and it's all very nice. And you've got this office, and you've got your desk, and you've got your work, and it's all very cozy and happy. And then someone says, again, talking about business because that's what we're really about. Just say, right, your business is going to triple in 3 months. You have got to get to a position where you manage it. They have this comfort bubble. Ooh, I can't go out there. No, I can't go out of that because you only learn to do something. You only learn to grow. You only grow, but you only learn to find the skills to grow. The only way you're going to learn is by poking your finger out of that bubble, breaking it, and getting out there. And so it's that fear. It's a fear of success. It's a fear of cash and all that. But it all comes down to it's that love of being in their comfort.
That comfort.
I think that's.
I think I think everybody knows that the comfort zone is where dreams die, and stuff.
Oh
like
yeah,
that. And it's you said about the whole kind of engagement thing, like the whole kind of relationship thing. It's quite funny. You always see those pictures where it kind of shows like someone their body is like trim or something like that before they get into a relationship, and then when they're comfortable they let themselves go a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
everything's fine there. They eat a little bit more, and stuff like that. But what was really interesting there is for a good few months now, when we've done the podcast, we've been banging on about, look, you need to make more money.
Yeah.
So look, prices are going up all over the place. Lots of people are telling you can save this, you can save that, but flip it on its head and start to make more money. And we talked about it on one episode about affiliate marketing and ways to make money online. And we kind of said, look, it's something that has always been there, where people have had that option to kind of get involved. But when things have been going well, and they're in that kind of comfort zone, making an extra £50, making an extra $100, whatever it is a month, it doesn't seem appealing. It's like, I'll watch Netflix instead. It's like there's nothing there. But now all of a sudden, where people are going, actually, I do need to make a bit more money. I'm interested in finding out more about this now. They have to take action. They have to do things. And I think that's something that happens. Again, we said it in one of the episodes the other week, where it's like, look, you have to want it.
Yeah.
You have to want to kind of improve yourself, improve your situation, or go after something.
And the problem with sitting in the comfort bubble is that as well, is that the environment around you changes and you don't know because you're in your comfort bubble. So like you just said there, you've got somebody who does their work, maybe 9 to 5, or they're trying to emulate the same kind of 9 to 5. They're doing 8 till 4 or 6 or whatever, they're doing it's a set hours that they're doing their set job and all the rest of it. And in the evening, I need to relax. So they go down, switch the telly on, maybe spend, all right, let's be generous. They only spend, say, an hour and a half in front of the telly. And then they repeat the whole thing over again. And this is a classic one, isn't it, at the moment? So they do that, and they were doing that 9 months ago, 6 months ago. Prices have gone ridiculous. Everything has changed. The bottom is falling out. Certainly, the bottom is falling out the UK. I don't know about other places as well. Or if you listen to the press, it's telling you that. And they're still in the bubble. And they think, I've really got to do something. But they're so now in that bubble that they can't get out of that little routine they've got, which ends up with them, switching on the telly at night instead of thinking, actually, what I could do, I could spend that hour and a half learning a new skill, reading about something else, or actually doing, heaven forbid, doing something that might actually bring an extra income, because all of a sudden it's a change. And as we know, a lot of people hate change. And you've got to get to a stage where you really welcome change and you love change, and you actually don't. If you sit in a comfort bubble, you should be uncomfortable, because all of a sudden it's like, hang on a minute, I don't want to be in this place. I want to move out of it. I want to expand it. I want to do whatever. I want to learn something new. New language, whatever. It doesn't matter. But as you start learning, that's when you grow, and that's when things will change. The same for personal life. relationships, everything around life, but especially in business.
It's interesting, isn't it? I think if you take a step back and you just kind of look at life and you kind of go like everything that you do, you had to learn how to do it at some point.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's
exactly.
like our whole lives we've been learning.
Yeah,
But I think it's sometimes like that, especially that comfort sort of bubble. But as we get a bit older and stuff like that, I think we kind of switch off on that whole kind of
yeah,
learning, you know. And you know, I was having a conversation with a guy this morning. You know, he must be you know, in his 60s, I think now, and you know, he's interested in technology. He's like, how does this work? How do I do that? And it's like he's learning. He's interested, and it's like you know, people 20 years younger who'd just be like, my life's over, you know.
oh, it's
You know, I've got
yeah,
my 9 to 5 job and that's it.
yeah, it's incredible. It's horrible thing to see in life where you see people who are they've got into their 60s maybe, and they think, right now I'm just going to prepare to die.
Mhm.
Because basically that's what they're doing. Is in a lot of cases people are just, yes, this is where I am now. And especially nowadays, I mean, life expectancy is growing all the time. All right, the average life expectancy around the world isn't particularly, but if you look at the UK, the amount of people I know in their 90s who were still pretty active would never have had that in my early years. Um, and so life expectancy is increasing. And we know that things like pensions and the money around all that kind of stuff aren't. In fact, they're, you know, in real terms, they're decreasing. But people seem to think I've got to this stage, and this going back to what you were saying. I'm going to wait until I retire to do this, for example. So they retire and then don't because for whatever reason they've decided not to, and they retire, which a lot of people don't do. Certainly in business, I don't know many people in business who retire. But they retire, and it's almost like they're preparing themselves for whatever old age is going to bring them. He said, "What a way to live!" You've got to be, especially as you get older, you've got to be more active. You've got to be, and that's talking about mentally and physically, and yeah, probably emotionally as well. But you've got to be more active. If you're in business, just because you hit 65 or 67, as it is now, the pension age, you're not going. Yes, you can think about changing your business and doing something slightly different, but your pet, you need to have um, you need to have some kind of income that's going to support you, and also you need to keep growing your mind. The mind is incredible, and you can carry on growing that for another 30 years into your 90s. Why not?
Just thinking that as you were saying it then is interesting for myself, like thinking about it over the past kind of year or so. I've had a lot more conversations with people over the age of 50 who are actually interested in the whole kind of online marketing piece, making money online and stuff like that, than people in their 20s and you
Yeah,
know and above that. And I think it is just that realization where it's going, okay, times have changed. I'm seeing that things are happening. I've
yeah,
probably lived through times where I haven't taken opportunities. And
yeah,
now I'm seeing, okay, there's something here that I could get involved in, I could do. Whereas when you flip it on its head and look at the people in their 20s or something like that, the whole life's ahead of them. You know, it doesn't really matter. You know, we've had that conversation, haven't we? When like,
yeah,
you know, when you're younger, you just kind of do things for like the time rather than planning ahead and stuff like that. And as you get a bit older,
yeah,
you start to plan ahead. And then, like you say, you get to that stage where you're just like, okay, like what's going on? And I think that there is that whole kind of comfort zone again, where like that there's that saying, isn't it, where like most people die at 25, but it just takes another 50 years before they get buried, you know? It's
yeah,
like
exactly. Yeah,
it
and
is
that's
that way. Like it's
with a
yeah.
lot of, with a huge amount of people that I meet. That is the case, and and they don't just. Yeah, currently I'm doing two courses at the moment in the evenings and stuff. Because I don't want to stop. I don't want my brain to go. I mean, people talk about the horrible diseases of Alzheimer's and dementia and all the rest of it, but it's been proven that you keep your brain active and you keep your diet well and you exercise well, there's far less chance of getting it than there is now. And you ask yourself, so why is Alzheimer's and that kind of stuff on the increase? It's not hereditary. It can't be hereditary or hereditary. So it's on the increase. There must be reasons for it, and it's because people are losing their mental and physical health because they've just decided, oh, I don't know if I'm doing this. Not everybody, but it's on the increase for a reason. We don't use our brain enough, I think. And yes, there are diseases that come along, with the brain that are reversible, but we kind of almost put up with. But almost it's a sense of, no, I need to fight this. I need to change this. And I don't know, and I don't know enough about Alzheimer's and dementia, but I know there's an awful lot of research that says that keep exercising the brain, keep active, keep learning, keep doing this, and the chances of getting that. Keep your diet. Diet's a huge thing as well. Keep your healthy diet and your exercise. There's a good chance that you may avoid it for longer. Maybe you'll get it eventually, but and it's while you have your faculties, keep them. Don't just let them go by just thinking, I'm in my comfort bubble now. I'll stay here.
I think that's it. Again, I keep mentioning comfort bubble because I think that is, the big kind of takeaway at the minute of people just like, look, if you're listening along and you're thinking to yourself, yeah, do you know what? I am in my comfort bubble. Just start to do things to kind of move out of it. Because like you said there as well, like we put up with stuff.
Yeah.
And I think as well, if you turn that around and you actually say, we expect stuff, right? It's
almost.
Like, if you think as well, like we had that conversation, like coming onto this podcast today, like we loaded up Zoom and you're like, it took forever. Like,
I know. Yeah.
And it's like, we do live in that time now where we want things instantly, so kind of like going, oh, okay, I'm going to have to put some work in for a couple of weeks to be able to learn that skill. Or I might need to do something there. I might need to spend a few hours a week for 6 weeks to build that kind of income, through another source. And you think, oh, that's too much hard work. That's too far away because I can just press the button now and get Netflix. I can just press the button now and get online. I can press the button now and get whatever delivered from Amazon tomorrow. It's like it's that kind of thing. I think sometimes we live in that time where we, again, coming back to that fear and that kind of inaction, that sometimes we think, well, it's going to take too long to get it, so I may as well not do it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and again, coming back to people my age in retiring, and what I found, maybe it's improving with some people, I don't know, but people do get to their 60s and come into their 70s, and they think, well, it's too late now. They think it's not too late. Just imagine that you knew you were going to live healthily and really well to the age of 100.
Mm.
Okay. Now, in your 60s, you've got 35 years. That's the amount of years you've probably been working already. So you got all that all over again, but just you've got so much more knowledge, so much more experience about things that, in fact, the last part of your life can be twice as good as the first 30 years because you're still making all sorts of mistakes, but you've got wise to them now. So it's this kind of thing, isn't it? As you say, expecting people, oh, well, this is what comes with old age. We expect this to happen. You think, why? And it's been, again, I think it was a study not long back. I know we're going off a tangent here, as we always do. But there was a study a while back, and I remember that the human body is designed that it can last well until 140. It mechanically can work if it's treated correctly to around 130, 140 years old. Now, obviously, there's all sorts of factors in there, but it can work. So why not work it to, if you want it to work, you've got to work it.
I was put onto this book a little while back called the 100-Year Life, and it is talking about that, where people are living longer and the advancements in medicine and treatments and all this kind of stuff that we can live for longer, and there is that thing of most people go in, well, okay, if I retire at this age, not thinking that could be another 30 years. That they have to fund their life and stuff like that. Now
that's the thing,
What was really interesting, like we're recording this in an afternoon, earlier kind of lunchtime. I was kind of in my house, walking through the front room to the kitchen. TV's on, the news is on, right? And within the space of half an hour, I must have walked through like three or four times, right? And there was a part about mortgage rates increasing. There was parts about fuel prices and petrol and diesel and stuff like that increasing. There was something about the retirement age going up.
Yeah,
And there
yeah,
was something else as well. And I was just like, God, like, no wonder I don't watch the news. Like, this is just all doom and gloom. But it's
yeah.
like, that whole kind of thing there is, yeah, okay, prices are going up. It's like, we know that. We know
We
prices are
know
going
that.
up.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's like, again, look, if you don't take action, coming back to right at the beginning, look, that cost of inaction, we actually said this. I can remember saying this on a podcast a while back where I was just like, whatever whatever energy bills were going up by, just say it was like an extra £100 a year, or an extra £500 a year, I think it was. You have to make an extra £500 a year just to be in the same position,
yeah,
you know. And it's like that now is where we're at a point where okay, things are going up. It's like next month you have to make an extra 10% on what you're making this month just to be in the same place.
yeah,
So why sit back? Why be comfortable? But why not go? I want to take control
yeah, exactly.
and see what I can create myself.
Yeah, and I think that that's the whole thing. Going back to, as you said at the beginning, is that um, when we were talking about people in business who are kind of making decisions, and they're saying, "Well, I'm going to wait until this check comes, and I'll wait until that comes in." It may not. Yeah, it may be a case of if they're relying so far on that one check coming in or that one payment coming in from that supplier. What happens if that supplier goes bust? Or what happens if whatever happens, the supplier refuses to pay and it's a bit long? Yeah, it's a bit longer. What we have to do is start thinking, okay, how can I make my business more resilient, or so that I can start not saying, "Oh, I'll wait until this." I can start saying, "Yes, I can do this now." And the other thing was, those people who are ready, who almost ready to go, and then at the last minute think, "Oh, I know, I'm not sure if it's right." And that is that whole fear of, well, as we said, maybe the comfort bubble, but also the the fear of running out of cash, maybe. So again, it's what action can I take now so I don't have to, I don't have that. So I have that choice that at the end of the day, I can say, I am ready to go. And yeah, I've got the cash, let's go.
And
And, and
there on the cash being there, I think yeah, okay. If the cash isn't there, then maybe fear gets in of going, when does the cash come in? That kind of thing. But when the cash is there and you don't press the button, it's like, okay, what is it? Like what's
what is
that
it?
trigger going on in your head? And it's like I can remember talking with this guy, and we were ready to kind of work on his business, kind of going to the next level and stuff like that. Him making the income that he wants to earn and stuff like that. And I can remember him saying to me, I've got some inquiries at the minute. Like things are going quite well. I don't need your help." And it was like, it was at that point, I can remember saying to him, I was just like, you need my help more now than ever. You just don't know that yet. Like
Yeah,
that's the thing. Is like, everything seems fine when the phone's ringing and stuff like that, but how do you keep that going? And more so as well is that, even some of the stuff he was talking about, I could see the errors that he was making where there was a slippery slope that he either becomes a really busy fool
yeah,
and not getting the income that he wants, or that burnout just happens and there's no business left.
yeah, yeah, that's right. And this is coming back, isn't it? When if you do decide, if you are making that decision to grow, then be aware that you're going to be busy. You are going to be busy, but you need a team. So if you decided that, yeah, I really, really want to grow my business, okay, um, you don't have to be you don't have to be that busy fool. You probably will be busier doing something else because you're going to have to build a team, manage a team, and learn about how to communicate with that team and get them working well. That may not be forever, but you're going to have a bit of a more of initial uh, work, and then maybe then once the team is working well, you can either just take a bit of a backseat for a few minutes and think, right, what can I do now in my business, or you go ahead and build another team so you can expand even more because you've done it once. You think, oh, I'll do that. Okay, why not? Okay, let's triple this again,
That,
because I
that,
know I can build a team and get more teams, and all of a sudden your learning has changed because you've now got to manage. You're now managing teams. You're managing people, and you've probably stopped becoming a technician, and you're now a manager, really truly a proper business manager of your business. Other people are the technicians that are doing the doing. You're now controlling the kind of their output and the fulfillment and how your business is growing. And that's when you become a business owner. There's too many I won't say one man bands because that's a bit demeaning, but there's too many micro businesses, one person in there who's still not true business owners. So what happens is when their business expands, they just think they have to expand. And they think, well, but I can't work 24 hours a day. Well, no, of course you can't. No one can work 24 hours a day. So guess what? You're putting a ceiling on your business. To expand, you can expand your activity and how much you do, but you're going to burn yourself out if you're not careful, like you said. You don't want to be a busy fool that really burns out. So you can, you've got your own limited abilities and you can go so far. But you know that if you want to really expand your business, you have to start building a team, not necessarily employees, but a team of contractors, freelancers, whatever. But you've got to build that team around you to be able to facilitate that. Because if you can't do that, see if you can't do that, that's the wrong word. Anyone can do that. If you're not willing to learn to do that, then you'll never expand.
And you know what, as well, at that part there, it's like looking at your options. Like I got consultation with a business last week, and they're kind of a similar thing. It's like, well, we can only take on so much work. If we take on any more, we'll be too busy for it. And it's like, if you stay as you are, no, but you have options then in how you can kind of grow. But also, let's look at how you can increase the income without doing all of that work. And it's a case of looking at things of shortening processes here, bringing in support there, leveraging and maximizing then technology and also options. So even things like right, okay, look, once you finish with the client, who do you know who can actually support that client as well through a different service? Can you take a commission off of that? Can you refer them in? Like, can you just make that customer journey a lot better? There's all these kinds of options that you can do. But that piece that you said about team, I think I've probably lost count the amount of times I've had these conversations, and I actually had one this morning where like people just say, look, your team members, they never see it the same as you. They never want it as much as you. They work 9 to 5. The 5 o'clock comes around, they've already got their coat on, and they're leaving. They don't have that kind of passion. And we're talking about a member of their staff, and I was like, look, if you look at these numbers here, you probably should have sacked this person a year ago, because like, what are they actually doing with their time? I was like, I would take this job.
They
kind of, on paper they do about half a day a week and take a full-time salary. So what's actually going on? And it's like, okay, the person running the business, they've probably been a bit preoccupied with other things, that their eye hasn't been on the ball with this thing. But it's like, how long has that been drifted away, right? But then the flip side is, well, this person can make commission, this person can make a lot more money, but they just don't do it. They just, I turn up and take this money, and that's it. There's no ambition there, or maybe ambition is a good word to kind of look at with all this, with that kind of fear of missing out, or that fear of inaction, that fear of success. Is there an ambitious level? Going back to, obviously, look, you have to want it. Do you have to have that ambition?
Yeah. And I think that if you're a business owner and you say, right, yes, I definitely you've taken the decision. Yes, I do want to expand my business. I do want to build a team. I know I'm going to have to change the things I do. Again, what you have to do, if you're going to build a team that do want it, that do want to grow with you, you have to then learn how you discern that when you start interviewing people, how you work that out. Do you have psychometric testing? Do you have someone to look at their behavioral patterns and working that out? But again, it's a completely different level of skills. And a lot of people say, oh, I'll just get an agency to do that for me. But the agency doesn't care about your business. The agency wants the commission that you're going to give them, which is normally salary and all sorts of things. So that's not the way to go, because what you're doing is you're saying, oh, I can't be bothered to learn that. I'm going to give it to an agency. So they can pull the wool over your eyes totally, and you wouldn't have a clue. Mm-hmm. So you need to learn it. I wouldn't say that. I'm not saying don't ever give it to an agency, but learn what needs to be done so that when you do give something to an agency, you are in control and you're not losing that control to another company.
I think that is everything in business across the board, right? Now, like you said, that you're not saying don't use an agency.
No,
What you're saying is that I'm going to leverage using an agency to
yeah,
support me in this part here, because it
yeah,
is exactly the same. Like we spoke about it before, it is exactly the same if you were to look at a marketing agency helping you. If it
yeah,
was, sales training helping you, if it was even looking at finance and accounts and stuff like that, you don't have to know all the ins and outs. You don't have to know how to build a website, but you have to know why you need that website, how it fits into what it is that you're trying to do. And it's
yeah,
exactly that, isn't it? With the whole kind of recruitment side, is that if you kind of look at it going, I can't be bothered, or I'm not interested, I'll just outsource it to a recruitment agency, it's probably not going to work out.
no,
If you were just
exactly.
like, I'm going to engage this recruitment agency to help me because I want X, Y, Z, and these can actually do that piece to find that person, that piece
Yeah,
of the puzzle.
yeah,
That's how you leverage things.
exactly. And you've got to be willing to learn all about business. I mean, I'm just today was at May. I went to a networking meeting today and talking to a few people who keep going through feast and famine all the time. They're going through feast and famine, and um, and he's saying, well, when do you have these good, when do you have these good months when it really works well? Some are seasonal businesses. I understand that to a certain extent, although there's still things they can put in place. But they'll just come out random. Oh, November was a brilliant month. Well, November and December, and I did have that conversation. Somebody surprised me. I said December was a brilliant month for me. November and December, I thought, oh, okay. So I said, well, what did you do with the money you made? Well, it's kind of, it was spent in
Good
January and
Christmas.
February. Yeah, it's spent on Christmas. I said, well, did you think that I'd made a stack load of money I didn't expect to make here? Brilliant, and I've done well. I'll put some money aside for those rainy days. Yeah, like oh, your mum used to say, put some money aside for a rainy day. You say, yes, mum, whatever. And you probably didn't when you were a kid. You spent it. But in business, you've got to. That's where people talk about business resilience. Well, cash flow is one of the big resilience and having that cash stuff. Not necessarily cash that you've loaned or you've borrowed or even cash from, say, investments if you've got a rental property or something. But actually, operational cash is the real king. So if you've got some really good months, and because we've talked about this in the past, that you will have some bad months because after summer you get the winter, and after winter you get the summer. So in the summer you're putting money aside, and the same thing, you're building out your marketing as well in the summer. But you're putting money aside because you know that when the winter comes, it's like your store of grain, if you like, for the winter. So when the winter comes, that's what you're going to be living on because you've got that store of grain going on. Hopefully not all of it. And then you don't have the feast and famine. You start to soften that curve until eventually you can get such good months that you're putting money away that actually you don't have a cash flow curve. And as well, I was talking to people about it. It was like right. And it dawned on them. I think, and these we're talking about 40, 50-year-old business owners. And I'm thinking, how do you not know this? Because they've never taken the time to even pick up a book about bookkeeping, maybe, because, oh, that's boring. I don't want to know about that. So they've given it to the accountant. So they just handed all this stuff. Yeah, you deal with the cash, bookkeeping. Can you do the book? Yeah, great. You do all that. Okay. So they've been doing the invoicing and the bookkeeping, blah, 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 all the rest of it. An accountant, most, no, not most accountants are looking at your business as it was, as things have gone on, because they'll do your tax and everything. Some accountants help you to grow your business. But if you don't know that you need them, and you don't know you want to do it because you haven't bothered to check out about different cash flow things, they're not probably not going to offer. They're not going to be proactive. So it's when you request it, you want it. But the first thing you need to know is not, you don't need to know accountancy, but you do need to know about cash planning. It's like marketing. Every business owner should be a marketer. They don't need to do that marketing, but they know what they need from their marketing. So when they bring in somebody, say, look, this is what I want. Well, this, and that. You say, okay, sounds good to me. You can do you can weave your magic and do your things, and you say, right, this is the plan, and they'll say, great, that's exactly what I'm looking for. So it's the same with the cash planning and stuff. You say, I want to build. So go to your accountant or whatever, or you can do it yourself because it's not too difficult. I want to build an amount of cash so that when I have lean times in my business, I don't go into that whole thing, waking up every night thinking, oh my God, how am I going to feed the kids? Or whatever, that kind of stuff, you know. Not difficult. You just got to start thinking about planning. And that's what people don't do because I know some people think that planning is a bit of a, I like to wing it. I heard this. I heard
So
this. I'm,
I was about to say that whole kind of thing of planning is that I think you get a lot of people that they just deal with, what's tomorrow, what
yeah,
they wake up tomorrow, I'll see what happens with the day and that kind of thing. Maybe they have a little bit of an idea going, okay, this is what I want to do by the end of the month, or this is where I kind of want to be. But as you were saying then, it was like for me, look, strategic marketing is that whole kind of piece of, yeah, okay, look, what are the highs and what are the lows? Okay, we average between 30
yeah,
and 60K a month, right? Okay, how do we make 60 that new bottom? So how
yeah,
do we move up? How do we go, right, okay,
yeah,
between 30 and 60 now, how do we get it so we're between 45 and 85? Or that kind of like space then that we go, our new bottom is like the average of what we were doing before.
yeah,
And it's like, how do we take the steps to obviously get to that? And that piece, like you said, like, we spoke about recruitment, we spoke about accountants, spoke about marketing.
yeah,
There are some good people out there. There are some bad people out there. You obviously, you have to do the work to find out, the good ones. But from the marketing side, what I would say that I've seen a lot, and this is probably the same for a lot of industries, right? Is that you go somewhere and you tell them, this is what I want. They will give you what you've asked for, what you want. They won't necessarily tell you what you need and do what you
yeah,
need. So you could go to someone saying, look, I want you to run my, but we've said before, like search engine optimization is a great example, right? I want you to run my search engine optimization. Yeah, no problem, can do that. It's £700 a month, whatever it is. Yeah, fine, we'll start paying it out. They won't turn around and say, but like your website is ridiculous. Like, no
yeah,
one's gonna buy from you because it just, it doesn't even look like a website. You're not going to get that.
yeah,
No one's gonna turn around then and go, yeah, the copy on there could be a lot better. We could actually make it a bit more persuasive. Do you know what you're offering there? Have you thought about repackaging that in a way, calling it something else? No one's going to be looking at that. They're just going to say, yes, we'll take this money for the search
yeah,
engine optimization.
yeah. That's exactly, and that's right because this is the thing, isn't it? When he the person, the business owner, needs to understand all these different things, and this is where masterminds are brilliant. And a lot of people, I don't know, I'm not sure if they're still as popular as they were. I think they're brilliant. I've been in a few high end and low end ones. But a mastermind is that you normally have a mastermind of people working together, and you'll have someone who is a real marketing. Yeah, they do the marketing in their own business, and they're really switched on with stuff. And you'll have somebody switched on with cash flow planning, maybe because they're an accountant. So when you say, "Look, I've got this feast or famine problem, and I'm not sure what to do about it," the marketing person will give you that. And so, okay, what's your website look? Can we look at this? Can we look at that? Because he's basically helping, or he or she, they're looking to see how they can help you best. And then the accountant, he or she, is saying, right, okay, do you have cash pots? Do you put stuff to one side? Do you look after this? Are you tax efficient? Are you this? Are you that? And all of a sudden that you're getting all this advice. You're not necessarily having to read books to get it, but you're learning from them. You're taking notes, and all of a sudden you're expanding your knowledge far quicker than if you were on your own. And this is the power of the mastermind, is that you can just get so much knowledge so quickly and become an expert in what and how to run your business, because it's made up of people with different skills.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, you can take the time to learn all those skills yourself, and to a certain extent, you probably would do it in that kind of mastermind way anyway. But it doesn't mean necessarily you've got to trawl through 30 or 40 books every month about
No,
on accounting and marketing and sales and all the rest of it.
and that's the point of, we spoke about before, of like the higher level of thinking, that
Yeah,
there are different levels of sophistication in every industry.
yeah,
Is that, I've read probably every marketing book there has ever been, kind of
yeah,
thing, right? And I can take bits and pieces out of that to put my own knowledge together, that when I'm talking with someone, I'm speaking with someone where they go, I'm having this problem, or I'm thinking about doing this. the knowledge is there to go, this would probably be the best fit for you.
Yeah.
Or, have you thought about looking at this or something like that? Rather than it just being, okay, look, here's the one service that I sell. You should have it because X, Y, Z. And I think that is the kind of benefits there of like a mastermind, or, even just your kind of network of knowing the right people, that you don't have to read, like an accountancy, you don't have to do an accountancy qualification to learn everything there, but you can actually tap into going, what is it I need to learn? What is it I need to know about? Do I need to know more about cash flow forecasting, for example? With where I am right now, that would be the best part for you to read on right now. You don't need to go through everything.
Yeah, it was really interesting, because I remember being in a mastermind where they virtually told me they kind of, I was new to business, and I probably overstretched. But again, this is the whole thing. I probably financially at the time overstretched myself. But this is where I didn't say I'm going to wait until this happens, and I'm going to wait until that, or I'm not sure if I'm ready to do that. I thought, no, I've got to. I don't know enough about business. I'd had a couple of businesses. Some couple were reasonably successful, but I've always had small, very, very small businesses. And so I was still very new to it. And to say I was a business expert would have been nonsense. So I went, and I was in this mastermind, and they were full of people. And again, this is the good thing about masterminds in a way. People who have been in business far longer than me, knew far more than me. And I said, right, I need this, and this, and this. And they said, okay, well, don't worry about that yet, because that's not what you need.
Exactly.
And don't worry about this. Let's focus on that first. And I would have never have thought that. I would have read a book, and I would have thought, do you know what? I need to start doing this. And I would have gone down a little rabbit hole. Yeah. And again, when you have, like yourself, when you have somebody with dealing with marketing strategy like yourself, who go in and say, wait, not sure you need to really concentrate on SEO at the moment. What you need to do is make your website more compelling. Let's get that website up together. Let's make that a real force first. Let's do this bit of marketing here on I don't know, Google Business or whatever. Blogging, maybe you need to put some blogs in here. Let's get all that stuff working. Then the SEO. Once we start getting that, we'll look at the writing the copy for SEO, and it all joins up in a strategy which you do, as opposed, like you said, just somebody saying, I want SEO because I've read it in a book. Oh yeah, well, we can do that for you. And then
I'll run through three examples, right, of conversations that I had last month, right? One that where basically someone was saying, yeah, we've tried marketing before, it didn't really work, so we're not going to spend any money on marketing again, right? It was just like, how do you expect to get customers and stuff like that? Or,
crazy,
that whole kind of thing. When you actually got into it, it was like, what did you actually do? We paid someone to run Facebook ads. It was like, okay, so look, the Facebook ads are getting in front of someone, and this was like a higher end service as well, right? It's like you're hoping to pique someone's interest at that time, that they take action to fill out a form for you to call them back. It's like, that's tough. It's tough in it, right?
Yeah.
Marketing, really, you want to build your own database that you can market to time and time again, right? But forget about that. But that's just like one part where you're like, in business, you're saying we don't need to market, right? Then another conversation, having a chat with someone, we're looking to double our business next year, right? Okay, cool. I'm on that. Let's have a little look into it. When you actually look into it, when they talk about doubling their business, they are literally talking about doubling their business, where they go, we replicate what we have now, we times it by 2. So we take on the same amount of clients again, and we bring in the same amount of staff again, right? And you look at it and you kind of go, if you actually did this, at best, you make the same money.
Yeah.
But you're probably going to be making less because of X, Y, Z, right?
Yeah.
And then another conversation is that where someone goes, this is what I'm planning to do in 8 months' time. And I need to start putting this kind of stuff in place to build up so that when it gets to that kind of 6 to 8 months, we can actually move over from what we do now to moving over to here. And it's like, absolutely, 100%. Like, let's plan that out as perfect so we can actually, start moving along at the pace that is needed, put in a few contingencies as well, and look at where we can make it even better moving along. And it's like, and these 3 people were in a similar space. And it's like, I know that last person is going to wipe the floor with the rest of them.
Yeah, yeah, yes, right, absolutely right. Yeah, and it's just that, and again, that comes down to the foresight and planning, doesn't it? Um, and if if you're on, yeah, if you're on your own in business, you think I want to double my business. You can read a book on how to double. I'm sure there are there, how to double my business in a year, and it'll lay out all these things. But you still don't know the people you need to speak to, because when you're on your own, literally on your own, you 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 don't know. You've got to go out. You've got to start researching who's good and who's not, and build up a team of people of trusted suppliers, if you like. Right, that person can help me with marketing. This person is a great accountant. I need that. I need someone who can help me with business planning on, I don't know, on HR, for example. I'm going to build a team, so I need someone to help me with that. Yes, you do need to know what you want to do, and again, you'll get that from a book, but it's that team of people that are going to help you. Now, they could be teams that eventually build up of employee. You could employ those people, but initially, that's a lot of money to spend on employing people that maybe you don't have the cash flow at this particular point. So use use contractors, freelancers like ourselves, and just say, right, I need you maybe for, let's see how it goes, say maybe for 6 months, because I need to start building this, because I want to double my business and I want to move on to this new platform in 9 months' time. So I know 3 months is going to have to be spent on really getting my marketing working out, a strategy worked out, and starting to implement it. The back end, right, I'm going to have to make sure I got cash. So I need someone who can work with me on cash planning, business planning, work out what I need to do. And so there's different projects that are going on at the same time. So that person now, like you said, that third person has now become a project manager as opposed to a doer, a technician. So they're now saying, right, the project is, this is the overall project. There's bits to it, and I will manage all of those projects, but have people doing them for me. Perfect, because guess what? As you said, if it's efficient, he might even triple his business
Yeah.
in that
And,
time
and that's
span.
exactly it, man. I'm looking at it on paper going, it's a smart move because I can see the bigger picture. I can see exactly what they're working towards. And it's like, yeah, okay, this is what's needed. There's a lot of work that
Yeah,
goes in. It's not just a case of, yeah, it's just a few bits and pieces. There are different people involved, along the way. But the whole point is that you're going, okay, yeah, in 8 months' time, rather than in 8 days' time, I need X, Y, Z, which you do
yeah.
get as well, man. We've all been there where
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
someone's, I need your help, yeah, but I need this within a week. You're just like,
yeah,
it comes back to that whole kind of triangle thing, doesn't it? Of like, cheap, fast, and
yeah,
good or whatever it is. And it's like, if it's good and cheap, well, I can't even think what it is now, but it's like, there's two of them, it can't be the third one as well.
yeah,
So
yeah,
if you want fast and cheap, it won't be good, kind of thing.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. That's right.
Stuff there, but it's like it is interesting, mate. Just I think we'll wrap up this episode here, but just circling back to like we said at the beginning, is that you have so many options to you today. Like the whole kind of world is connected, is open. You can find the right people to support you. You can get access to the right things. You can learn the right things as well. Just sitting back and doing nothing,
Yeah,
you will be disappointed in yourself when you move forward. We used to talk about this on the podcast, back last year, where we would say, look, where you are right now, it is a result of where you were a year ago, 6 months ago, 3 months ago, a month ago. Those decisions that you've made have got you to where you are right now.
you're
Where
thinking,
you
yeah,
will be in 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months time is what you start doing today. So I think like to close on this one for myself, I'm just like, look, just start taking action. Whatever it is that you want, start making moves to work
yeah.
towards it today.
I think that's essential, isn't it? Or what ultimately comes down to is that you have to be an action taker. You have to think, right, okay, yes, I can learn this, I can put this, but I've got to start implementing if I want to expand. And I first of all researching and maybe thinking about what I need to do and get some help with that, and then just doing it, just actually start doing it.
Oh, that was the tag from the last episode that you went
It
with.
was, wasn't it?
Just do
Yeah,
it. And I think we'll run with that again.
Yeah.
Honestly, look, whatever it is, just do it. And look, if you do need some support, just email over, info@strategyandconversions.com, or message us on social media, get our input, get us on side.
Yeah,
We're always happy
definitely.
to help our listeners. So,
Yeah, let us help. Let us help.
oh, and yeah, look, we'll leave it there. Mark, it's always been a pleasure.
Indeed, it has.
That's it.
Thanks for everyone
Catch
for
you next
listening.
time.
Yeah, okay. Cheers then.